And welcome back to WCCF Tech TV, everyone. This is Keith once again, and today we're going to take a quick look at the ASRock A320M Pro 4. Now this is an A320 motherboard. There is no overclocking support on this. This was actually specifically bought for the A12 9800. I'm going to be using it in a build for my daughter actually. And because it's not overclocking and it only runs 2400 megahertz DDR4, so this is more than enough for it. But I didn't want to get just a super boring crap board with no special anything on it. But we're going to take a look at this and why I picked this particular board. So we're going to go ahead and open it up and look at the accessories. Of course, you know, how to install memory, what channels to put it in. It's really nice that they put this up front. So it shows you the speeds that it supports and which slots it supports those speeds. So the manual is right here. It's rather thick. Here is the driver CD. Now the I/O shield is pretty craptastic. It's just a stamped piece of metal, so whatever. Now it does have two screws for the two M.2 slots, and yes, it does have two, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But comes with a pair of SATA 3 6 gigabit per second cables, and this is the motherboard itself. And excuse the loud nature of the anti-static bag that's on here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, and it won't take long for you to see just why I went for this board. So I gotta give ASRock kudos for putting anti-static or foam on there. So this is the board itself. Let's go ahead and pull it up. I want to take a look at the I/O real quick. So we've got PS2, USB 2.0, a VGA, DVI, and HDMI. Now the monitor we're using uses HDMI, so that's perfect. Now this one, for a super cheap A320 board, it does have USB Type 3. It has USB 3.0 and 3.1. So you got 6 USB 7 total really on the I/O. The audio is a bit lacking. It only has in, out, and microphone. So that's perfectly fine with a single LAN connector, but it is the ELNA audio. So it's a nice black gloss PCB. Not a huge fan of glossy PCBs, but for this price, I really can't complain. But you do have two full-size by 16 slots. Of course, only the top one is wired by 16, the bottom one is by 4, which is perfectly fine. And it does have a metal retention plate for the AM4 bracket. So the chipset heatsink is very small right there. You have M.2 here and an M.2 here. So I'd have to look at the specs to see just what they run at, but it does have two of them, which is fairly nice for this class of board. You have 4 SATA ports on the back, on the side here, which are perfectly fine, and you have an 8-pin EPS power delivery for the CPU. Now, even though it doesn't support overclocking, you still can run up to a Ryzen 7 1800X on this board and get XFR speeds and everything, and that's really nice, especially if you're a non-overclocker and you just want something solid. Your memory slots, it does have the easy ones where you only have to open the top tabs, they slot in and snap right in. It has one CPU fan header there. There's a chassis fan header here and a rear chassis fan header here. So you only have 3 fan headers on this small board, but they're under the assumption that it's not going to be a high-end enthusiast setup. But you do have your front USB 3.0, and you have a pair of RGB headers. Now this right here, go ahead and move the camera in, or move the board in rather, and let it focus. That right there is why I picked this board. That is a very, very nice heatsink array. It's quite capable of keeping the VRMs cool, even though you're not going to be overclocking. So being that it's going to be running an APU, all of the componentry will, or all of the power delivery will come to the CPU for the video and the CPU. So we definitely want this. And later when we get Raven Ridge comes to the desktop, we'll probably slot it in here and see how that works. So no overclocking is intended to be done here, but it is a very nice board for the price. It's extremely inexpensive. I picked it up for $65 on Newegg. But we'll leave a link in the description below so that if this is a board that interests you, you can do the same. So this has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV, and we'll catch you in the next video.